Hello and thanks for joining me. At this time of the year I love to sit down in the afternoon with a nice cup of tea and a slice of my favourite cake at this time of the year, Stollen. Yes, I am a marzipan nut and also a lover of fruited sweetbread, so the best of both worlds for me. But then the thought struck me, why Stollen at Christmas? Where was it first made and came from? Does it have any significance? We can't truly tell when Stollen was first made as a Christmas bread, but it did originate in Germany, and first of all was made with yeast, water, flour, oats and a little oil. Now the oil was important because otherwise it would just been really dry, but the oil had to be distilled from turnips, believe it or not, and that made it very expensive. The result was a bread that was hard, tasteless, but as Advent period was treated like Lent and Easter, it was also a time of fasting, so the use of butter, eggs and rich fruit was not allowed. In the 15th century, two brothers wrote to the Pope to ask for permission to use butter in Stollen. The Pope at the time, Nicholas V, said no. And it wasn't until 5 popes later, in 1490, that Pope Innocent VIII sent the so-called butter letter to one of the brothers' sons. This allowed only that family to bake Stollen with butter, but without paying a fine. Other bakers and families were eventually allowed to use butter in Stollen, but only if they paid a fee every year, and that fee was used to help fund the Friesberg Minster. The butter ban was eventually lifted when Saxony became Protestant in 1527. The most famous of all the Stollens is the Dresden Stollen, first mentioned in 1474. However, in 1560 it was recorded that the bakers of Dresden gifted the rulers 2 Stollen, each weighing 16 kilos, and that's a lot. They processed through the city under the watchful eye of 8 master bakers and 8 apprentices, and the Stollen was dragged along on a carriage pulled by 8 horses. This tradition carried on until 1730, when the Elector of Saxony, one Augustus II the Strong, who by the way was also King of Poland and the Grand Duke of Liechtenstein, and he decided to commission a bread so big that everyone in his area could have a slice. The resultant bread weighed 1.8 tons, yes, tons, and contained 3,600 eggs, 306 churns of milk, and 1,000 kilos of flour. They had to build a special oven to bake it in, and it took 1 week to bake. Nowadays you get Stollen all around the world, but only Dresden Stollen has a special seal of Augustus II on it, and unfortunately for most, Dresden Stollen, the true Dresden Stollen, usually runs out very quickly, as there are only 150 licensed bakers. Well, why is this bread so special? The shape resembles the swaddling clothes of a baby, especially when it's sprinkled over with icing sugar. And it wraps around the baby Jesus, the marzipan, which was very expensive. So, have a joyous Christmas everyone. And if you haven't tried Stollen yet, treat yourself this year.